Hello and welcome to the League One Lowdown review show with myself, Seb Jones, if I can get my name right. In fact, Seb Jones joined by Jamie Johnson
That's a
as
great
usual.
start, that, isn't
Jamie,
it?
just while I put my teeth in, how are you doing, pal?
I'm doing better than you by the sounds of things.
Well, good.
Yeah, no, I'm all right. Just the 5 games, obviously, this week with the international break. So a bit of a shorter one. Maybe good news, given that Seb doesn't even know his own name.
Well, yeah, it's a great sign. Yeah, only 5 games. Yeah, welcome to the review show from the League One Lowdown. As you mentioned, Jamie, it's been an international break, and we're not going to have this debate, but of course, we seem to get more and more games called off due to international call-up. So it's left us with just the 5 games across the League One in the weekend. Some more entertaining than others. Of course, we've got a couple of 0-0s in there as well. Always just taking it when you don't have many games to chat about.
Yeah.
But we'll go with it. And yeah, a bit of a shorter episode before a full roster of fixtures next weekend. So we'll start off by looking at the game between Burton Albion and Blackpool. I guess on the face of this one, going into it, one sort of pretty even, 2 teams on both a pretty sort of good run of form, but it was a home side that edged this one.
Yeah, it finished 1-0 to Burton. Jake Beasley with the winner, a really good glancing header from a great Lofthouse cross, actually. And he was a key part of this victory. Him down the right was really critical to this Burton victory. Even though the main aspect is how well, again, they've defended and how resolutely they defended and how they're able to grind out results. And it's becoming a theme and it's becoming the norm, really, being able to grind out these performances. They're up to 12th with it. Blackpool stay in the relegation zone. I guess we'll come to them in a second. But it's 3 league wins out of 4 games for Burton, around a 2-2 draw against Rotherham. They're fighting and they're battling. And the words I wrote down said were that they're working really hard. And I think that is sort of the key part. Is it maybe they're better than the sum of their parts, if you like. That team isn't up there with some of the big money, the really impressive teams on paper, but they're they're performing above that expectation just because of how hard they're working. And all credit to them, a good victory against Blackpool.
Yeah, definitely. And only 1 goal scored in this one, but that was scored by Jake Beasley. Now, I saw this sort of doing the rounds on social media. So, Jake Beasley against his former club, I think it is sort of the talk about from this one. Burton Albion striker, but spent, I think, nearly just over 3 seasons with Blackpool. And I saw the fact that Jake Beasley was at Blackpool, as mentioned, for over 3 years. He scored 5 goals in the league for Burton Albion since joining in the summer, and that's halfway to his total goals for Blackpool in the 3 years that he was there. I guess it's sort of one of those that he's actually been given a bit of freedom, playing up front for Burton alongside Tyrese Shade. It's sort of interesting, doesn't it, in terms of when a player has been at a club for a little while, perhaps not in the best of form, moved to a club under a good manager in what Burton Albion have, and it shows that sort of the goals tally and the time that you can get that sort of goals is incredible. Really, if you're in a good team and working for a good manager, then it makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Gary Brody's done a lot with those players he's got there at Burton. In September, they were rock bottom. They'd not won since the opening day, and now they're absolutely flying. And they're beating some big teams as well.
Yeah.
Cardiff, I guess, would be the pick of the bunch. But they're winning some really big games. The other player, I guess, to bring out of it is the goalkeeper, Bradley
Yes.
Collins, on loan from Coventry. His 5th clean sheet of the season and 2 huge saves at the end of the game against Bloxham and Ashworth. The second one is incredible and it is worth finding. There are a few clips that are worth hunting for that we're going to talk about, incidents, I guess, as we talk through the podcast.
Yeah.
But that save is an incredible one. The corner comes in, it's a flicked header at the front post, and he's got seconds to react. And he gets there and clips the ball up over his bar, so earning that victory for his side. He got a good chunk of the plaudits after the game, and deservedly so. But yeah, great performance for Burton, not so much for Blackpool.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess it's on Brad Collins there. So former Bounty player, he's really interesting because actually he was number one keeper for Coventry for quite a while when they were sort of pushing the playoffs in the Championship. And then there's been some sort of fallout, I think, over the summer, not been sort of favoured by Frank Lampard, so been sent out on loan. He's a really good goalkeeper, and sort of no disrespect to Burton, but he used to play for Burton at the start of his career, and you would have thought that perhaps he's progressed up, with Barnsley when we were at the top end of League One and when we we're in the Championship as well. And then for now to sort of him to sort of be down back in League One, it's an interesting move, but actually it's worked out really well for him because, as you say, it's another clean sheet this afternoon. He's just proven an absolute force between the sticks to be reckoned with, really, Brad Collins, and Burton are really lucky to have him. He's still 28 years of age. I think he was 21 or 22 when he was last at Burton, sort of 2018, 2019. So, it's probably a different sort of player, really, compared to when he was there in the first instance. He was on loan from Chelsea then, and then got released and subsequently went on to Barnsley. But I find it really interesting. But actually, it's a proper good coup for Burton to have that sort of level of quality in between the sticks and in there. And that itself, when you've got, as a defender, when you've got him behind you, you can definitely be relaxed, can't you? Really, because as you said, 2 saves right at the end. Any team could easily sort of slip. Only 1-0 lead, he could easily sort of slip amongst that, but to stand tall right at the end of the game, I think that's a testament to him and testament for Burton for bringing him back to the club.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with all of that. He's a really good goalkeeper, and he's making a difference for Burton as a goalkeeper should do. He should always, by the end of the season, he's saved you points as opposed to cost you them. Always the metric to go for.
Definitely, and I guess just before we move on, you mentioned Blackpool still in the relegation zone. I don't think that sort of gives the full picture of it. So the 21st, they're 2 points from safety. Things have got better since he never came in, and I think he'll be disappointed with this one. It's now 2 defeats on the bounce in all competitions. That other game was midweek in the EFL Trophy. But if you look at the league,
we don't count those.
Well, we don't know. But if you look at the form before that, I think they were unbeaten in 6 altogether, 5. I think it was actually. And so I guess, although they are still in the relegation zone, the big picture is if things are going better for Blackpool.
I agree with that. It's their first League One defeat since Ian Everett came in. It's a little bit of a setback, really, but they had the better of the stats. It's been an interesting one to dissect. The point I will sort of give to you is they sort of lacked purpose in possession. They had a good chunk of the ball, but didn't really do much with it. And there's a few teams I can say that for that we're going to talk about in this podcast. And some interesting quotes. The Blackpool Gazette, too much, I guess, it's not his exact words, but to paraphrase, too much lump ball. They were going too direct, and Ian Neville wasn't best pleased about that. So it'd be interesting, can they fix that next week? Is that going to be something that they look to pull out of their game, if you like, and go for that more gradual build-up of play? But in this one, all credit has to go to Burton.
Yeah, certainly. So we'll move on then, and the next game, bit of an interesting one. This one, but we'll get onto sort of the winning goal in a little while. But the game between Lincoln and Doncaster, 2 teams that are on an interesting run of form. I guess particularly Doncaster in terms of they're still without a league win since the 6th of September, and that run continues because it was the Imps that came out on top in this one. It finished 2-1. I guess the first thing to add was this the scoring was opening by Okoronkwo. Have I said that right?
Okonkwo, yeah.
Okonkwo, we'll go with that. And that's 2 games. Well, let's class it EFL Trophy in this one, but that's 2 goals in a week.
2 in 2,
He scored midweek in the EFL Trophy against Barnsley, so that's 2 in a week for him. I guess he'll be confident as a forward player for Lincoln, playing sort of on that left hand side. But I tell you, what won't be happy is Doncaster Rovers. The little sequence in that second half, wasn't it? So Lincoln up and scoring just after the half-hour mark. Second half, 71 minutes. What happened, Jamie?
What happened? Very good question. I guess before I go into that, in terms of Okonkwo, he should have had another one. He missed an open net, and there was 2 open net misses in this game. Sharp missed one that he just took too long over, and by the time he actually had his shot, the net was blocked by 3 or 4 defenders. But he had a chance to shoot before those defenders got there. But the worst offender was the Okonkwo, and the ball comes to him. It is an open net, and he puts it wide after Sonny Bradley nodded it down to him. But yeah, that sort of manic period in the second half. Lincoln, I mean, I was at the away end, 1,600 we took from Doncaster, sold out the away end, but we were the other side of the pitch from the disallowed goal in the first half. With Rob Street pushing the back of Maxwell, James Maxwell, I think it was, which was a bit harsh. I think that if that was against your team, you'd be complaining about it. It's one of those soft free kicks that has disallowed that goal. But yeah, in terms of that manic couple of minutes in the second half, Brandon Hanlan, who is my sort of silver lining for this game, because he came on in the second half and turned the game a little bit in Doncaster's favour. He added a spark up front. He had scored in midweek in the EFL Trophy as well, and he gets the ball. It's a great turn and a great finish. So the striker's instinct is what we've been missing really at Doncaster over the past few weeks. But then less than a minute later, up the other end, a long throw. We can't defend, and it gets bobbled around the box. Everyone gets a touch on it, and the unlucky man is Robbie Gotts, who couldn't really do anything about it as the ball just sort of hit him, ended in the back of the net. We'd only just finished celebrating, Seb, in the away end. I looked up and the ball was bubbling around our box, which was a shame. But yeah, it's 9 League One games without victory, bottom of the form table, and it's the same problems. I don't want to sort of lament too much because I can say it again, everything I said last week. We're not good enough in both boxes. We're lacking an intensity. We're very passive. That's my sort of biggest issue, just how soft, how passive we are. But on the positive end, it's obviously for Lincoln. They go joint top now. I think perhaps they would have been beaten on another day against a better team. They weren't amazing, but they were good enough to beat Doncaster on this occasion. And Conor McGrandles, who got the man of the match, he's been so important for them this season. I mean, they had in the last international break, their game was postponed in part because Michael Scabala wanted to make sure McGrandles was available because of the suspension looming over him. No trouble of that this time. He was absolutely fantastic. I don't know when he turned into sort of the League One Busquets, but it's happened since I was watching Lincoln last season. So he was a real star with that performance for Lincoln, and probably a deserved victory, all things considered.
Good victory for Lincoln. There were a few rumblings on social media about Grant McCann's position as manager. What do you make to those? And should they be squashed easily, or do you think there's something there?
No, there's nothing there. It's reactionary. Is all I would really say on it. It's ridiculous. I mean, what? He can't put the ball in the back of the net. Grant McCann can't run on the pitch and score. Grant McCann can't run on the pitch and head the ball away when the defenders decide to stop defending. So that's all I'd say on that.
Yeah, nicely put. We move on to another South Yorkshire trip, another South Yorkshire club facing a long trip, and that's Rotherham United to Luton Town. Not much in terms of the goal front on this one. Luton Town continuing to impress and continuing to get positive results if you see it as a point gain rather than 2 dropped. Rotherham United will certainly see this one as a point dropped, but questions and issues over squad depth and injuries again at Rotherham United.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to go the same way, Joe. I think this is a great point for Rotherham, really. I mean, they look pretty solid in this game to say they have such a massive injuries. They're now 7 games unbeaten in the league. They had no senior centre-backs for this game. Nombe and Katelka was out. Hugel and Sheriff, a bit longer term, was out as well. I mean, you've got an injury list as long as your arm, really, for Rotherham, but they've still got a point away from home. Tough place to go, Kenilworth Road, against an in-form Luton team. They'd won 4 in a row across all competition before this one, and Rotherham have gone there, backs against the walls. I used sort of similar words for Burton earlier, but a very gritty, a very fight-driven performance. And Rotherham, I think it's a great point. I'll disagree with you there, Seb. Because I think, given all the other circumstances, it's a really good performance, Rotherham.
Yeah, that's true. They've got no fit centre half at the minute, Rotherham United. So they're playing Hamish Douglas, who's a midfielder by trade, in a back three alongside Reece James and Joe Rafferty, who themselves are fullbacks, sort of playing back three there. And they now have no fit strikers. Martin Sharif and Johnny Hugel off injured in this one. And I think Matt Hampshire spoke in the aftermath of the game in terms of time length, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a short-term thing for either of those, potential or deep into the free agent market as well. But then that itself brings in questions: how fit are the free agents? Are they training regularly? How long will it take them to be embedded into the squad? So interesting one clearly at Rotherham United, and yeah, their injury issues just seem to continue. They'll finish the game with Josh Benson up front, a midfielder by trade, and Josh Ayers, 19-year-old midfielder from the academy. So when you have midfielders as your striking options, it's not great. So yeah, I guess positive as well. I guess as for Luton, I mentioned this earlier, but they're continuing to impress under Jack Wilshere.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, Josh Ayres, you mentioned there. I guess to add to your point, he was playing at a short loan at Games with Trinity earlier this season, who are tier 7 of the English football pyramid. So it tells you all you need to know in terms of how far into their squad they're having to delve Rotherham to put out a squad. Not as far as Harrogate, who fielded 3 substitutes. Obviously, this in League Two, and you can follow the Fourth Tier Fever podcast to get your fix in terms of League Two content. But yeah, I mean, Harrogate 3 players on the bench, so it's not that bad. But yeah, in terms of Luton, had all the ball, didn't really do anything with it. 3 shots on target, producing just a 0.57 XG, and they had 69% of the possession. So a lot of the ball, no impetus with it, I guess is what you would say. But it keeps their unbeaten run going. So there's positives and negatives in terms of Jack Wilshere's side.
Yeah, they're unbeaten since the middle of October in all competitions, our Luton. So a pretty good record. Here we go on. Let's see how long we can last for this one. Exeter against. Sorry, I misread that.
I thought we were going for the 0-0.
I thought we were going. That's where I thought it was going to go. But we'll hang fire before we go to the 0-0. Leyton Orient v Exeter is a game that I almost missed out there, but it's actually a game with goals, so we've got to talk that one. A great comeback victory here for Leyton Orient, and an impressive display altogether.
2-1. They beat Exeter City, who are also struggling in that form table. They're down towards Doncaster on those sort of metrics. Orient dominating the territory, but it felt and looked like a game of 2 struggling teams. But with all that, it's a comeback win for Leyton Orient, and that'll do them the world of good in terms of confidence. Backinson, who scored the second, it's a beautiful goal, side-footed, volleyed into the corner. Really good. There was an element of luck to both goals. For that second one, as great a finish as it was, Exeter were momentarily down to 10 men because one of their centre-halves was off the pitch. One of the newer rules where you've got to stay off for that extra few seconds. In those seconds is when Orient scored. But the first goal is some suicidal playing out from the back from Exeter, gifting that. And it's sort of that leg up. It let Orient back into the game. And from that, they ran with it and got the 3 points. They switched to a back 3, which really helped Orient in that second half. Cahill with a couple of strong saves as well. And it was a pretty decent performance, all things considered, for Leyton Orient. But the result is the important bit. And they'll take, obviously, good solace in that. There are a few refereeing decisions to dissect. I've got 3 on my list, so if we want to go through them one by one. The Exeter penalty, the goal they did score, I've not seen too many complaints about this one, perhaps overshadowed by the 2 we're going to come to. It looked a little soft for my money, the penalty.
Yeah, I can see why you've gone. Yeah, I can see why I think it's sort of. I think we've seen them given before, and I think we've seen referees play on with them before. I think it's one of those, when they're giving in your favour, you celebrate them, but when they're giving against you, you're a bit annoyed in terms of how soft it could be. But yeah, I think it was. I think it was a penalty. I think it was the right call in my view anyway. If that was me, obviously if Barnsley had that decision against them, I'd be calling for a penalty. So therefore, I think it's the right decision to award extra penalty.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think it's probably not too dissimilar to the Billy Sharp one I was so keen on last weekend. I know, I agree there. Wareham took it really nicely, actually. It was a good penalty. In terms of the two that weren't given, then I think this next one is similar. In if anything, there was a bit more contact. Don Ballard was taken down later on in the first half. I think if you're giving one, you've got to give the other. That's why I sort of feel about in terms of the softness of the first penalty. You either give both or you give neither. And that's where sort of these inconsistencies, at least for me, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Again, sort of penalty like this we have seen given before, and you're right in terms of the consistency in the refereeing decisions that we've seen at this level. You'd expect the referee to blow for it. He hasn't, whether he's got sort of not got the right angle for it in terms of viewing point. He didn't want to sort of go in for a decision, and thought, They can be a bit aggrieved to not be given this one. He's definitely, I guess, it would change the result really if they did get the penalty this way. But they've been given before. And one of those you're annoyed at, really. I think.
I get it. I think my it is all about the consistency for me. It's the giving one and not the other when they're in terms of they're obviously not the same sort of tackle, but in terms of the contact. They're pretty similar, but I don't know how long we can scoot around it. I've sort of looked over. There's an elephant in the corner of the room over there, and it's this handball that wasn't given. This one is
best till last,
shocking. We talked a little bit about this off air, and your viewpoint on this is really interesting because this has done the round on social media. This one is on our Twitter or X, as I guess I should say, League One Lowdown with a number one. If you want to head over there. But there's sort of a bit of a tumble in the box. And the Exeter defender, I think it was Simpson, has gone for his best Superman impression and punched the ball away. I cannot believe that one's not been given. But your point of view, Seb, being that there's a foul just before the handball, which is what the referee gave.
Yes. I don't wholly agree it was the right decision, but I can see the logic in that why the decision was made. In that the defender is clearing the ball from the Leyton on free kick. The Orient player is on the floor, basically sort of. I think there's a bit of a tangle in legs, and he's ended up like tripping over him as he's sort of flying. Well, not flying, obviously, but like as he's sort of making himself big with his arm. That's where the handball is. But actually, he's fallen to ground. The reason he's fallen to ground is because of the Leyton Orient player, because of the tangled legs. So I think I can see why definitely when people wanted the penalty given, but I can also see why the referee gave the decision that he did, because the guy that handballed it, I think he was being fouled by
Ed Turns,
that's it. I think he was being fouled by the player that was fallen to the floor just before the Orient player. So I that's what my eyes went to when I first seen this, and I watched it a fair few times before we started recording this, and that's what my eyes turned to it and continue to. Yes, it's a handball. Do not get me wrong. It's a handball. The sort of the movement of the arm is not accidental, but I think there's a reason he's sort of in that position is because there's contact before he goes to handle the ball. But I agree to an extent of the referee giving this.
Yeah, okay. So you've almost gone full 3 for 3 for the referee there, which is not what I was expecting from our conversation about those decisions. But there goes our refereeing decision pop quiz for another couple of weeks.
Well, next week there'll be something sure. There always is in this division. But it's interesting. It's one of those where actually if those penalties are given, it changes the whole landscape of the game, really. The whole context sort of turns on its head. So but it wasn't to be, and in the end Leyton Orient got a comeback victory in that one. This is one I've been dreading speaking about because I don't think too much happened, really. It's the game between Port Vale and Wycombe, the second of 5 0-0s in the League One matches that we had over the weekend. What do you take from a goalless draw on the international break, Jamie?
I know. I mean, there's quite a good video going around on social media. One of Steve Bracknell's videos where it says the dreaded duo of the international break and then the Sunday league game gets caught up because of the waterlogged pitch. I think for us, it can be the international break and the games that are left are pretty dull. And this is one of those that goes into that category. 0-0 from Port Vale and Wycombe Wanderers. Wycombe is 6 unbeaten now, whereas Port Vale is 6 without a win in the league. It'll go back to September for their most recent League One victory, that coming against Barnsley, of course, Seb. I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah, cheers that.
I would get my own back after having to talk about another Doncaster defeat. But it was a game that got away from Wycombe. That is the sort of the story to take out of it. I think Michael Duff alluded to this. 1 goal, perhaps then it would be 2, 3, 4. That procession, the floodgates would open. But that's not what happened in this game. They hit the post twice. Omni Dimna and Bell. Bell also had another pretty good chance that he probably could have put away. Lowry with a half chance. They were much the better team, had the better of the chances, but couldn't break the deadlock. And that it's got to be a frustrating one for the fans that made that journey, is because they got so close to scoring on multiple occasions, and they've been forced, therefore, to settle for a point.
Yeah. I think the point will favour Vale more than Wycombe. I think Wycombe were disappointed, as you said. Sort of, it's one of those that they could have had a bit of momentum, bit of spark about them had they got firing, but they had a couple of decent chances as well. But Vale, struggling really for any sort of victory. So I imagine a point at home against a good Wycombe side will be seen as positive by Darren Moore's side in what's going to be a tough season for them, and then any point will matter come the end of the season. And good point gained, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But Wycombe were disappointed, but I think we've done all right in terms of that one to not.
No, I think that's a good analysis though in terms of the Port Vale, because they've not played well in this game. They've been second best, but they've still got a point.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, you're looking back, and if you add them up and you go, "Oh, that we that day against Wycombe, we should have lost. We got a point," and it could, as daft as obviously sounds in now, that could be a big point come the end of the season, because Port Vale are scrapping for all the points they can get. And there are a lot of teams in that bunch still down the bottom end of the table, and a few more joining them as well in terms of Doncaster. I guess being chief among them are those teams who are slipping down the table. But and I guess we've talked a few minutes about a 0-0. I mean, I don't know what more people can ask.
Well, exactly that.
From us.
Well, I guess it's time to tell people that there's going to be a bit of a switch up next week in terms of it being myself joining Sam on the preview show. So that'll be out, I think, Wednesday, Thursday time, ahead of the full roster. We return to 12 League One fixtures
thank goodness.
Next weekend. Thank goodness, yes. So, yes. And Jimmy, you'll be back with Callum, is that right?
Unless it's you, we can plan on air if you like. I will be here next weekend with who. That can be a nice surprise for everybody watching.
We'll see. Well, I will definitely be with Sam on the preview podcast. So a bit of changing of things, but delighted to have the final international break of the year over and done with.
Of the calendar year.
The calendar year, yes, of course. They will return in March, the dreaded international breaks. But that's it, so yes, that's the 5 games. Let us know if you went to a game, your thoughts on any of the teams and any of the penalty decisions that we've spoken about as well. Any controversial moments, perhaps, in any of the games that took place. So that's it for myself and Jamie this time round. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating, however you're watching or listening this podcast. It's all much appreciated. Yes, so that's it from myself and Jamie. Until then, we'll see you next time.